Hello, this is Harry Watt at North Carolina State University Wood Products Extension. I'm interviewing Kiln-Direct today to talk about dry kilns for firewood. Welcome. Niels Jorgensen is the owner of Kiln-Direct, and you guys have been in business, what, 30 years?
Close to 30 years.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Who do you have with you today?
Maury Wilkerson, he former service tech, has been in the company more than 10 years now and is now in sales as well, helping our customers choose the right product to serve them.
That's good. Well, we're today talking about dry kilns. The purpose of the National Firewood Workshop is to help people make money in the firewood business, and firewood kiln drying has got to be a big part of it. So in the world of firewood, where do you think dry kilns fit in?
So basically what I've seen is that sooner rather than later these days people are again adding a firewood kiln, and we talk to them. I remember one customer that chose a smaller processor in order to buy a kiln in the beginning of the business, as opposed to getting a really high-end processor and no kiln. The primary reason is he actually was involved in business already. He saw that the higher profit on the kiln drying would sooner allow him to own a bigger processor and the kiln. So he ended up buying first a smaller processor, adding one kiln, adding another kiln, and then the bigger processor, instead of going to get a huge, maybe large circular saw processor and not being able to afford the kiln.
Right. Every business has to have a plan, and you always have to work on paper first. There's different structures, I say, in firewood kilns. Kiln-Direct is kind of unique to the other ones. Can you explain how you guys focus on firewood kilns?
So early on, as we began developing the product, like most of the ones offering kilns, we started out basically modifying our existing models. And about 2 years into it, instead of selling a modified lumber kiln, we looked upon smaller firewood kilns that was made in one unit, delivered as one unit, easily hooked up, and technically relocatable later. We actually see kilns resold, either when people expand and want to go to bigger kilns, or simply they're moving locations. They can relocate our kilns. Either common sizes is 6 or 12 quarts. Either one of them comes in kind of a basic model and a performance model, but all of them come as a single unit, delivered and put on a concrete slab, hook up power and gas, and our technician comes on site and installs these units, make sure it runs well, and educate the customer how they operate. And they tend to add kiln one after the other as they grow. So it's very modular expansion of your business.
Right. So that would fit in somebody's plan. One of the questions that people ask is, of the various fuel systems, I believe your company offers all of them. Is that correct?
That's correct, although we haven't done much hot water steam because hot water is just not high enough temperature. A kiln operates somewhere between 250 to 275 degrees. Hot water boils at about 212. So furthermore, our experience from the lumber side is that you can only get to about 30, 40 degrees of the water temperature before you don't get much heat out of the coils. Therefore, hot water is, or even low pressure steam, is rarely used. High pressure steam is very expensive, especially for smaller operators. Therefore, the default model have been gas kilns, and we have probably, I'll say 10, 20 of the oldest woodways running, and 5 of the newer ones, which is residue, mulch, sawdust running out there. But 90+% are gas heated.
Right. Now, in the options between propane and natural gas, what do people need to know there?
So one thing we do is natural gas is very convenient, number one. On a technical side, natural gas is less potent than propane per cubic foot. Therefore, we always buy a natural gas burner. and then we derate the volume to accommodate LP gas. That allows our customers to connect to natural gas later on if it becomes available locally. If you don't plan for that, then a LP gas burner might not have the BTUs if you hook up to natural gas.
Right. Well, the trend, and I think it's taken 20 years for us to really understand how to dry firewood. We started out saying, oh, I've got a lumber kiln, I can dry it at 180 degrees. And lo and behold, it took 2 weeks to dry it because we were trying to blow air. We had low volume kilns trying to blow air through 24 feet of firewood, and it just did not work.
Nope.
And what you guys, I think, pioneered was the high volume, high temperature combination.
That's correct. So first we took from our lumber kilns, and we learned that in our experience, you cannot go through more than probably 9 to 10 feet of firewood before the air becomes kind of useless, too humid. We went from going sideways through the load in the early models to really making one where we vertically blow the air up through the firewood. We believe that heat rises naturally. So by actually putting a hot pillow underneath the baskets, we can put the heat system in the back, better airflow and easier loading in an end-loaded chamber. The first end-loaded chamber we tried to make way long ago, we tried to do more of a cross flow, and it wouldn't take long for the air not to do much good in the drying. It became very uneven. And I think pioneering or developing the bottoms up airflow was kind of critical. And we got to 250 degrees early on. And upon someone claiming to have faster turnaround, we kind of decided to rise to the challenge and design kilns that go to 275 with some additional modifications in temperature control that we have in there to prevent fires and other things.
Yeah, well, certainly fire in a dry kiln is a disaster, and we never want that to happen.
But that's one benefit to smaller units. It's a lot better to have 6 cords of firewood on fire than a 30-cord kiln on fire.
Yes,
and, I think. Don't wish for either, but I prefer the lower volume. And also, when people have 4 kilns, whatever goes wrong with the kiln, whether it's maintenance or worst case scenario, something else, you're only losing a portion of your capacity, not the whole capacity.
Okay. About baskets, you guys have played around a lot with the design of baskets over the years. What have you learned?
So early on, we decided to make a basic square basket. That worked. Again, bottoms of airflow means we need perforated or a grate in the bottom allowing air to come up. Secondly is a lot of early customers use skid steers. So we have a half-cord basket. Basket plus firewood shouldn't weigh more than 3,000 pounds. So I think we got a happy medium in the size of the tubing, the grating that was on there, a different grating between the sides and the floor. And then we ended up going with solid sides in order so that the stick doesn't poke out the side. And on top of it, there's grooves for the basket to go into, make it easier to stack in the kiln. So that's probably the biggest ones.
Well, the other innovation we've seen in recent years, unloading baskets. And baskets, of course, can have doors or no doors. What have you seen there?
Well, I said Maury has probably seen more than I have out there, so I'll give him a little chance to talk about what people do in that and the change we see over time.
Yeah, a lot of people when they're starting out with their first kiln, they have a skid steer to load it, and they're using half-cord baskets, and they're dumping it with the dumping door. But then as they expand their business and they've got multiple kilns and they're trying to keep up with production and customer demand, they may switch to bigger baskets, but a lot of times we see them using a rotator fork, which is a hydraulic way to dump the basket without ever leaving the loader. So you can do it with one person on the loader, and they move away from the dumping door, which is hinged at the top, and they tilt the fork. So when they start out, they start with the door, and as they grow, they switch to a rotator. Often soon. It saves so much labor, it pays for itself.
Yeah, the first time I saw one, I thought it was brilliant. So I'm always looking for innovations and ideas. A lot of your kiln drying wood goes into bundle business and you guys go all over the country. What insights do you have on the bundle business that people would like to know?
Okay, so first thing I'll say is bundle business require drier firewood than any of the other markets. Home delivery being not as critical, but once you take a firewood, put into a plastic bundle and leave it in storage for a month, any moisture can create mold.
Or even the mesh, if they store it in a dark, controlled warehouse somewhere, it's still going to mold. It's got to be very dry.
Exactly. Even to the point that someone accidentally putting in 1 or 2 wet pieces into a dry bundle, that piece will mold. So some of the customers really almost have a high level of procedures to keep the kiln dried away from any of the wet material to prevent accidental in a mixing when it's bundle business. Of course, then you have the types of bundles. There is the original stretch wrap, kind of onion bags. There is the heat shrunk, which is kind of the most common way being done. And then someone else has been kind of introducing a new netted bag that they see is reusable. So that's a primary ways people do bundles out there.
Well, the bundle business, go ahead.
We do see some people pushing towards some kind of biodegradable solution that's more environmentally friendly. So we see some of that coming up.
Well, I always wondered if we put it in a brown bag and they can burn the bag. Do you see anybody doing that?
Not yet. It hasn't been able to last yet. So you have to understand one of the primary things that the resellers want to see is no dirt or debris. That's where the heat shrunk tend to cover the ends. You can still see the firewood and the splinters, little bark, stays in the bottom of this plastic bag. The stretch wrap and some of the other ones, it falls out. And then when you remove the panels in the store, there's a big pile of like small wood debris. So haven't seen that yet. There's some do boxing, but then people can see the product. Now we're back to the clear bag. Some of the major producers do use a big handled plastic bag as well. So we'll see, it will change, I think, because a lot of the producers is very, shall we say, don't like the amount of labor it takes to put things in there. They want to automate it. But the current bundle that is 16 foot long is 16 inches by 8 by 9 or so. You almost need a manual stacking to make a fairly square bundle that can be put on a pallet. Whereas a bigger bag, you can kind of lay it down and nest together more naturally. But these are the challenges.
Well, we do have lots of challenges, and we have so much variation in packaging that everybody's trying, and that they look at it in terms of pennies per bundle. What does the handle cost? What does the materials cost? What's the labor cost? And it's a challenge for all of us. But you guys are out in the industry a lot. Any other comments you'd like to make here for the National Firewood Workshop 2021?
So I'll say this, what has happened I think over the last 10 years, and more I can fill in a moment, is the quality of drying and the degree of drying required has gone up. When we probably early on, the basic kiln would run somewhere between 24 to 36 hours. That has moved over time to the same kiln running 36 to 48 hours to satisfy the market in most of the places. Simply the quality of the drying has gone up. And then we've seen a shift to be higher performing kilns, with a performance kiln that runs at a higher temperature with twice the airflow. That is in somewhere 22 to 32 hour time frame for most of our customers. It depends on species, the biggest piece in there, the length of firewood. These things matter a lot for this. And any other changes?
Well, I would say that what you were talking about earlier, where our customers, once they find out how much better the kiln dried wood burns, they come back for more, and their standards get higher. When it was the only game in town and 24 hours was still better than season, now they're looking at different kiln dried wood, and so their standards have gotten higher. Our customers. So once they've tried the kiln dried wood, they want nice dry kiln dried wood that burns hot and clean and looks good.
Well, Maury and Niels, we greatly appreciate you guys coming on for the workshop. This is June 9th and 10th. Next year we'll be in Wisconsin and hope to see you there with the dry kiln for show and tell.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you.